Before we get started, I just want to thank Knolly Williams for being here. If you don't know who he is, speaker, author, trainer, this guy has spent more time teaching real estate professionals how to do what we need to do, which is get listings and grow businesses and scale, right? I don't know anybody who's got more classroom time teaching than Knolly. So I'm really thankful. Thank you, Knolly, for being here today. You're a badass.
Thank you, brother. And if it wasn't for MyOutDesk, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. Seriously, I mean, you know how I roll, man, and my VAs take real good care of me. So appreciate what you do.
I love it. He's the founder of Mentorship Masters, where he takes people through a process and teaches them how to sell virtually. And so we're going to talk about that today and why that's important for our audience. I mean, here's the deal. I was on today with one of the largest real estate teams in the country. They have 5 offices, more than 1,000 agents. And the leader in that team was like, I'm not sure how to sell virtually. I don't know how to attract agents. I don't know how to take listings. And so that's our topic for today. And I'm really excited to have Knolly here and share. Before we get going, I just want to have everybody kind of chime in the chat feature. I need you to go, we're live right now. If you're live, put live, then the city that you're in, and then I want your Thrive score, meaning on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about your business, your community, whether you are thriving right now? 10 means you're killing it, things are going really good. 1 is like, I'm in trouble, right? So we're gonna do live or replay, whether you're listening to this on live or replay, the city that you're in, and then your Thrive score, 1 to 10. Just go ahead and throw that in there. Thank you. We've got, let's see, live from Martha's Vineyard. Woo, I wonder what it's like over there. He's got a number of 7. Thanks for doing that. And so this team leader that I was talking to, she was nervous and scared that she wasn't going to be able to convert people virtually. And literally, this conversation happened today, this morning. So Knolly, first of all, I want you to do an introduction so everybody knows who you are and really what your world looks like. I've told them a little bit about you, but I want you to give them the real good stuff, you know? And the reason I love Knolly, I met him, 15 years ago now. What I love about him is that he's always positioned himself just a little bit different than his competition. I met him in the beginning, like a long time ago, and he had a book. And he's like, hey, Daniel, I wrote a best-selling book about selling homes. And I was like, and I'm a real estate broker. And I'm like, wow, nobody's ever wrote a book about how to sell your home fast for the most money. This is amazing. And so that was my first introduction to Knolly. Since then, I've consumed everything that you put out, every single class, single blog post or email I watch. But Knolly, let's give the group a reason why they should be listening, and what kind of give them a little background about who you are.
I'll make it a brief background. I've been an entrepreneur since the age of 13, probably a little before that. Daniel, you know how that is, selling candy in school. We have similar stories there.
Yes.
Yes. And then that kind of graduated until I wanted to get in the music business. So I started a rap label. It became the world's #1 Christian rap label.
Okay.
And we had 85% of the market.
Nice.
I made my first $1 million when I was 29 years old. Actually made $2 million that year, and lost it all when I was 33. Got into real estate, and I took over 1,000 listings during my first 10 years in the business.
Nice.
But the cool thing is I've learned how to do things differently. I'm a master of efficiency. Like you talked about the book. This is the original book. We've got an updated from them, but Consider It Sold.
Yeah.
I was spending so much time with sellers explaining to them the process of how I was going to get their home sold.
Right.
And I didn't want to spend all that time that I was spending with them. And I thought there was a more efficient way. So I created a book that walked them through the process of getting their home sold, right, and subsequently helped make me famous in my area. So I teach 2 main things. number 1 is fame. Number 2 is efficiency.
Right.
I teach people how to become famous and how to become more efficient. And if you do those 2 things, you can quadruple or even 10x your sales in the same amount of time that you're working now, or even less time than you work.
I love it. I love it. And today's topic, if you're listening right now, today's topic, houses don't have to be seen to be sold. everything you need to figure out to sell virtually in the real estate space. So I'm really thankful. If you're listening and you want to get a copy of our book at the end, stay to the end because we're going to give it away. Copy of our book plus our Go Remote guide. So everything that we're going to cover today, we have a 12-page guide on how you can take your real estate practice fully remote, meaning not a single person in the office. And that's what we're kind of focused on. We've been doing that for 13 years. And so we're going to give away a guide plus a way to get to Knolly if you find his information interesting and you want to deepen a relationship with him. So stick to the end for that. Knolly, what are we going to cover on today's call?
So a couple of things that I want to cover. Number one, we're going to talk about how to do stuff virtually.
Yep.
You know, when I was 23, started my first business, it was home-based. And, you know, Daniel, back then I said, hey, if the president of the United States can work from home, why can't I? And so honestly, my whole life has been, how can I do this from any country? How can I do, and you know, my big thing for doing this had nothing to do with COVID or pandemic or anything. It's just that I love to travel. You know, I want to be in Europe. I want to be in Spain. I want to be in wherever, you know, Costa Rica. I might want to be in Belize. Might want to be in Hawaii for a month. Yep. And so, but how can I do that without it affecting my income? So that was kind of my big why of how I started working. I mean, not at the beginning, I couldn't afford an office at the beginning. That was my big why back then. Right. I was 23. But I've worked from home ever since. The first home that I bought was 6,000 square feet, just so that I can convert 2,000 of it into office space. Okay. And I had people that came there. And, you know, you've actually taught me a lot about the virtual space. But here's what we're going to cover. 2 things primarily, actually 4 things. Number one, we're going to talk about mindset, because in order to work in the virtual space, you've got to change the way you think. Okay. You've got to change the way you think. It's a completely different way of thinking. Okay. And then we're going to get into the how of it. And I'm going to give you 3 steps for the how. Number 1, develop your system. Number 2, educate the seller. Yep. And number 3, partner with an agent that can help you. So, and we'll kind of go through those in that order. Yeah. But that's what we're going to cover.
Okay, man. All right. Well, let's get going. Let's talk first. I mean, I go back to that huge office with more than 1,000 people, and she's like, "I've never sold on Zoom or virtually, and I'm not sure how it's going to go. I don't know what my close ratio is going to be. I'm not sure what my follow-up sequence can be." So let's talk about the mindset of how she needs to, and our audience today needs to kind of adapt and kind of embrace this whole virtual world in order to successfully grow their revenue.
Absolutely. So, you know, the mindset is going to be the biggest piece. And we talked about that already. I mean, if a person can't wrap their mind around the reality that sales can happen virtually, you know, they're really not going to snap into that paradigm, if you will. And the title of this is, you know, houses don't have to be seen to be sold. And that was just something I shared with you in a conversation. I was like, man, houses don't have to be seen to be sold. I learned that, Daniel, just a couple of homes, a couple of hundred houses in. I was like, why am I looking at this house again? I'm doing the same routine, the same stuff. You know, the sellers are excited about me walking through their house. I've probably seen the house a dozen times. Right. If you've seen a 2185 square foot home in that subdivision, you've seen them all. I mean, they're excited about you looking at their house, but that you looking at their house is not what's going to create the sale, you know? Right. So that really is a paradigm shift. Early on, I don't know if you remember, see if I can find it. Remember when I wrote this book?
Yes.
Success with Short Sales back in the day. So I wrote this in 2009, and toward the back of it, I have this chapter where I talked about, should you attend the closing? And that was like controversial. Yes. It was like, because I didn't attend any closings. I was like, let me think about it. Why am I going to closing again? I couldn't find any justification for going to, and in California it's different, but in Texas, you actually sit down at a closing for an hour, you know, physically. And it's like, I just didn't understand it. So I kind of outsourced that whole thing. And I've always been in the process or in the thought pattern of what can I get rid of? Okay. Yes. So I want to share a couple stories.
Hold on. I want to highlight something because so I hope we have a new client. Literally, he just signed up today. His name's Brian. Now, this guy, his net worth is a lot. I'm not talking about $1 million. I'm not talking about tens of millions. I'm talking about a lot. He owns a franchise with 12 different locations. That mindset that you just had is exactly what I was coaching him on, because we do a consultation here at MyOutDesk. We do the initial call, and we're trying to figure out, like, why are you growing at the speed that you're currently growing? And it's always about mindset. So you said something really important. I want to highlight it. What can I get off my plate, or what can I get rid of, or what can I not do? Why is that such an important mindset?
Well, success, moving forward in success is really about what you can let go of, not what you can add to your plate. When you get laser focused on your strengths, on the core things that you're good at, and they may only be a handful of things, and that's okay. But because really at the end of the day, there's only going to be one or two or three things, as Pareto, showed everyone.
Yeah.
Pareto was growing bean pods, and he was like, man, 80% of my beans are coming from 20% of my pods.
Yep.
Okay. So then he started looking at other patterns, and we all know that as a entrepreneur. If I have a real estate company, I know that 10% or 90% or 80%. It's going to be 80 to 90% of all sales are going to come from, 10% of the agents, 10, 15% of the agents.
Right.
And it goes on and on. So I've kind of been a student of success and failure. I've studied it both from the outside looking in and on the inside. Okay. I've personally had a home foreclose.
Yep.
I've filed bankruptcy personally.
Yep.
I've made millions and millions of dollars and lost them all. So I'm a student of that. But my personality profile, because I'm always tested out as an engineer, that's my profile.
Right.
So I just naturally look at systems, and it just makes sense to me. The reason why, Daniel, that people are doing, I was talking to a gal 3 days ago.
Yep.
That her owner of her company just signed a 10-year lease at $100,000 a month. 10-year lease. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Big office. If I said it, which one it is. And now here it is. They've been vacant for almost, a couple months, going on 3 months.
Yeah.
And so the reason why we continue to do things the way that we've always done them is because we don't challenge the things that we do. The unexamined life is not worth living. Okay. I forget who it was that said that, but the unexamined life is not worth living. And the reality is everything that we do, and I do this all the time. I say, why am I doing it that way? Well, that's because that's the way we've always done it. Just like our real estate industry. Well, we've always had offices. We've always had a building to drive to. But see, what you're seeing though, is many companies like Apple and like Zappos and other companies that are saying, wait a minute, we've always done this, but why have we always done it? They never stopped to question it.
Twitter's a great example, because Twitter just announced that the entire company is not coming back, and you now have a choice. If you want to come to an office, you can, and if you don't, you don't. So look, I want to be interactive. We've got a couple. I want to make sure that our audience is in this space with us. So if you're here with us right now, whether you're live or replay, I want you to name one thing that you're going to stop doing because it's not driving revenue. I want you to put that in the chat right now. And if you can just do one thing differently because of this conversation with Knolly and MyOutDesk, I'm going to be super excited that you guys came here today. So I want to see who's brave and who actually puts the first comment in there. So I really appreciate you guys. Knolly, let's go through that story that you were about to tell. And I'm sorry to interrupt you. It was such an important point that I wanted to make sure that,
So one of the stories that I was thinking of this morning, I said, and you'll remember this, Daniel. I was walking through the exhibit hall. I was at a Keller Williams conference.
Yep.
I was at Keller Williams, and I was walking through the conference, and you were like, "Hey, man, what's going on?" I remember you were sitting down in a chair. It was me and Joseph.
Yeah.
You were hanging out at your booth, outside the booth a little bit, and you were like, "Man, what's going on?" I said, "Man, I'm doing pretty good. I started talking about different companies that I'm doing, businesses and things like that. And you knew about my software company, More Souls, and you said, "Hey." I said, well, man, I need somebody to run that because my guy that's been running it since I started just retired. Like he's done.
Nice.
And so you told me, I don't know if you remember this, you were like, well, just hire one of our guys. And I was like, nah, it's not that simple, man. This guy, and I started giving you every excuse why I couldn't change what I was doing and do it differently.
Yep.
There's no way somebody in the Philippines is going to be able to help my customers, yada, yada, whatever kind of line of stuff I gave you. And you kept drilling down on me and you said, look, get your butt. I don't know if you remember that. You said, get your butt over there and fill out the application and let's get you going. I don't know if you remember that.
No, that's my standard. That's my standard call. If you're
okay,
watch out.
CTA.
Yeah,
like, man, stop whining. Let's get you over. And you walked me over to the thing to fill out my application to hire a VA.
Yes.
Now at this, I mean, Chris, that was like 6 years ago, maybe 7.
Yep.
And Chris is still with me. He runs that division of my company, and he allows me to spend about 30 minutes a week in that business. Okay.
Yep.
And the business is going, it's a going concern, but he operates it.
Yeah.
And so it really is, a lot of times it's just getting over the belief that the way that you're doing it is the only way. Another thing is, we used to, back in the day, I used to go on a personal listing appointment where I would physically go on the listing appointment.
Right.
Well, then we changed it to where we would 100% just have them come to the office and we list them that way.
Yep.
Then we were like, why are they even coming to the office? And I made a policy. This is funny. I made a policy at our office that we would not list a property. I mean, we would not physically go to the property until we had the listing agreement.
Right.
And once we had the listing agreement, sent to us, like signed and everything, DocuSign. Back then, we were just PDF, and they would print it out, sign it, scan it back to us, and then we would go to the house. Okay?
Right.
And I've been doing it that way since probably 2009, maybe 2010. I remember I was teaching a class, and Hollis Dean, who ran my real estate company back then, he was in the class, and I told him, I said, "Hey guys, the last 300 houses that I've sold, I haven't personally seen."
Yep.
Okay? And Hollis just started laughing and laughing and laughing. He was sitting on one of the back rows. And I was like, man, here I am. These people respect me. And my main man is laughing like uncontrollably in my presentation. And so I said, Hollis, let us in on the joke, man. He said, man, you haven't seen the last 500 houses. Because he knows. And back then it was a standing joke, because I would tell people I work about 3 hours a week in my real estate practice.
Right.
He would laugh. He said, man, you don't put in no 3 hours a week, maybe 2 hours. I'll give you that, but it's all about, Daniel, back to your original question. It's all about, why am I doing this again? And is there a better way? Those are the questions that we have to ask ourselves. Okay,
let's go through it, because one of the comments, and I really appreciate and support the person who put this in the chat feature. They said, I'm going to do my first virtual listing appointment. So the person that said that, congratulations. I really applaud you. Yep. High five, all that kind of stuff. And guys, if you want to ask questions, the Q&A is open. So Knolly's here. One of the things that's powerful about interacting like this is that interaction of our audience. Right now, Knolly, I want you to go through your system of listing a house with never seeing it. Yeah.
Before I do that, let me share one other thing, because it's so important, and people underestimate the power of building belief. And it just struck me with this, because, by the way, I've never taught this before, ever.
I know.
This is something that we teach privately among our, group, if you will.
Yep.
And it's kind of our inner circle type strategy.
Yeah.
But leave it to Daniel Ramsey to get me to coax me to get some of my insider secrets. And I'll give it all away. I'm not going to hold anything back. But I remember one time I was speaking on stage with a couple of other people, and it was in New England, and one of them was Lance Loken. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, those of you that don't know Lance Loken, he sells about 100 homes a month.
Yep.
Say it again, about 100 houses a month. Lance Loken. So I'm going. He spoke and everything, and he's just like the most introverted introvert you'll ever meet. Like he's super introverted. So we're going back to the elevator, and I'm jumping. I said, hey, Lance, hold on. I jumped on the elevator with him. I said, what's going on, man? You going back to the room to refresh? I said, we got lunch coming up, and then we got more speakers. And he said, no, I'm done. I said, what do you mean you're done? He said, I'm out. I said, you sick? What's going on? He said, no, I just don't like to be around people that much. I said, well, tell me more. So he started telling me all this stuff. I said, man. So I started learning from him. The guy sells 100 homes a month, but he just, it wears him out to be around people. Okay. That's his personality profile. So he doesn't go on listing appointments. He doesn't go on buyer appointments. He doesn't do any of that. Yeah. But he runs a very profitable enterprise. And so if people could just realize, and so all I want you guys to think about right now, and the reason I'm reiterating this so much, Daniel, is because one of the big reasons I don't have this conversation very often, right now it's very apropos because of COVID. Okay. Yep. But before COVID, man, I'd start telling somebody, well, I don't go on my listing, but man, that's dumb. Why would I, they didn't even understand that not only was it a way of doing business, but they had no desire to do business that way. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, they have to see you. I was like, no, I don't think they do. I mean, I was on a plane. This is the last one I'm going to share. I was on a plane. Planes are I'm trying to remember back when I was on a plane, but it's been a while. But yeah. There are 3 seats, right, on Southwest.
Yep.
So the guy's sitting at the window. My wife's in the middle, and I'm on the edge, on the aisle.
Yep. Yep.
So the guy kept looking at me. His name is Horatio.
Yeah.
He kept looking at me, and then he'd look away. He'd look at me again, and he kept looking at me. I said, "Man, what's?" I'm thinking to myself, what? Maybe this guy. I don't know. So then he says, you're in real estate, aren't you? I said, yeah, I'm in real estate. Yeah. I said, you got something you need? He said, no, but you sold my house. I said, I did? He said, yeah, you sold my house. Well, it turns out, Daniel, I sold his house like 4 years earlier. Yep. He paid me about $13,000 to sell his home. Never seen the guy. Okay. Right. And I even asked him, I said, have I ever talked to you? And I did a YouTube video about it. So you can go out and look at it. Knolly, Horatio, you'll find it. Yep. I'll go there now. But I did because I found it fascinating. He says, man, you did such a great job and this and that. So I interviewed him. I said, let me ask you a question, Horatio. Did we ever talk? He said, I think we talked. I said, I can't remember. I think we talked for like 15 minutes at the very beginning. Yep. That's all I ever talked to him, 15 minutes. Collected a commission. I said, let me ask you this question. I said, if I were personally involved, just think back on your transaction. If I were personally involved, would things have been any different? Like would it have been better? Maybe. I mean, and you'll see it on the video. He thinks like this. He's like, I can't imagine a thing that would have been better. I mean, it was perfect. Right. And so what I want people to understand is that not only are there people out there doing this, but you should consider doing it. And MyOutDesk makes it possible. So let's get into the how. Yeah. You ready for that? The how? The how. Let's do the how. So number 1, write this down, guys. If you're driving, don't write. Don't write. If you're at a place where you got a pen and paper or a whiteboard like I have behind me, write this down. Number 1, you've got to develop your system. Okay. Develop your system. Let me show you mine. My system. So here's what I do. He's gonna pull it out. There's gonna be lots to it, right? And by the way, I like things very simple. Okay, so I'm a master at taking the complex and then making it very, very, very simple, because you have to make it simple or people won't do it. Especially real estate agents. I found that out. I coach them every day. I know how they are. Yeah, I'm one of them. Right. So here's the different systems that I have. Okay, so I have and we could actually show this. Where I share my screen, but I'm just going to do it this way because I think it's easy. So I have a retail listing system. Okay. Yep. This is for traditional sales. And I'm not going to go through the whole system. I'm just going to give you the idea behind this. I can share these with you guys if you want them. Yep. And then I have a short sales team system. Okay. Because we still have short sales that we continue to do. I mean, at one time, Daniel, we had 123 short sales in inventory. Okay. Yep. It's not like that anymore, but we still have a short sale division. I've got a gal that has been running that division for me for 11 years. Okay. So that's our short sale system. And then we have our buyer team system. Okay. Now here's what I want you guys to understand about these systems. And I know they're blowing us up on the chat, baby. Look at them. They're blowing us up. I know. First of all, if you're listening, we will give you we're going to give away the Go Remote Guide, get you a consultation, get you a copy of the book. Plus, we'll get you all the things that Knolly's given you. All the stuff. Yeah. All the stuff. Nothing's going to be held back. Yeah. Yeah. So you'll get all this, but don't focus so much on this. Okay. This is a chronological order. Like if you take what we call a retail listing, not a short sale, just a regular home. Yep. Yeah. Regular listing. I changed it to retail listing because my coach kept telling me, man, I don't like that term regular listing. I said, well, it's a regular listing. I got regulars and short sales. Which one you want? Regular or short?
That's
He
funny.
said, let's change it to retail. I'm like, okay, coach.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you look at this, this is what I want people to understand. What's in highlighted in blue, that's my team admin. Okay, that's my my VA that does that. Okay,
The virtual assistant. Yep.
My virtual assistant. Yeah. And what's highlighted in yellow, that's what I call my property assistant. Okay, that's a license. So the yellow these are licensed activities that a licensed person has to do. What's in blue are activities that don't require a license. Okay,
right.
At least in Texas. Okay.
Yep.
Now, what is not highlighted? Those are the activities that I personally do.
Okay.
Now, what my job is, and this is when I wrote this book right here, and I explained this in the book. This book right here called Success with Listings. It's 430 pages. It's a beast. But again, I'm a systems guy, right? So I explained right at the very beginning of it, Daniel, that I have a 46-step system, okay?
Okay.
So I call it my 46-step system right there, okay?
Yep.
And then I go through, and the book is really about breaking down every single step.
Okay.
Well, what people don't realize is that 91.3% of all these duties can be, you don't have to personally do. So on any given listing, I'm only personally doing about 9% of the activities on any listing. And that's why I won't personally ever spend more than 3 hours on any listing that I take of my personal time. Okay. So let's look at how this works. So essentially, when you go down this, and again, I'm not going to go down it in detail because you'll get these, but the number one thing is generate the seller prospect. Then you do the initial phone consultation with the seller. Okay. Then I do a CMA. Okay.
Okay. Stop. Selling virtual. You're not even doing a Zoom call. You're just talking to him on the phone.
Initially, I do a 2-step.
Okay. So the first step, let's break down the phone call and what you say to make them okay with the fact that you're never ever going to see the house. You're never ever going to meet them. You're definitely not going to be at their beck and call because they're your clients. They're not your, they're not your, I don't know, the chains around your body or your lifestyle, right? What happens in that initial call?
So in the initial call, I have 7 particular questions. I've got like a little worksheet, and I go through it in the book of what questions, what the big question is, how much do you owe on the house? But that's the last question I ask.
Right.
But I get the property address, I get their phone number, I get their, all their contact information. And then, and I just have a conversation with them. I just talk to them, I need to know your motivation for selling. That's the big thing that I want to know. Your big why are you doing this? And then I just talk to them, and then I start sharing with them what my system is like, and I tell them right off, I say, my system is very, very different probably from any other. You say you sold 2 homes before. Okay, great. Well, in the old days, and I start talking to them that way. I said, in the old days, we used to do it this way. But nowadays, here's how I found that gets the most money possible for my client and sells in the least amount of time. Are you interested in hearing how I can get you the most money? They say, yeah, I want to know about that. Okay, well, here's how I do it. I've got a system and then I explain to them my process. My process is that I'm not good at looking at houses. Okay, I'm just not good at it. And they're like, well, what do you mean? You sold over 1,000 homes in Austin. You sold my cousin's house. I know you did. I said, oh, you're talking about getting it sold. That's a different story. I'm real good at getting homes sold. I'm just not that good at looking at them. I was talking to a guy this morning, 82 years old, bless his heart. He just closed on a house in Alabama. Okay. He's now ready to get his house here listed. And he just wants somebody to come through and walk through and do the dog and pony show and all that. Yep. And so I just explained to him, I said, now my business partner, and this is step 2 that I want to teach you guys, is that, you've got to, well, it's actually 3 things. You've got to educate the seller, and you've got to partner with someone local. That you trust, because the house has to be seen by somebody at some point, right? Right. We don't have robots yet. We're getting to that point. Maybe we'll get there one day where we have drones go out and sign, do all that stuff. But so what I explained to him, Daniel, is that quite frankly, I'm just not that good at looking at homes. That's just not my skill set. I'm a marketing genius. I'm a marketing whiz. I know how to price them. I know how to do the ad copy. I know how to get the right photos done. I know how to position them in the marketplace, and I know how to get them sold. I owned a marketing company for, I've been in sales and marketing since I was a wee little boy. And I owned a marketing company for 12 years before I got into real estate, doing music.
Yep. Right.
And so that's just my strength. And I tell them, but my business partner is really good at looking at houses.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, she's really good at it. I mean, she'll look at the grade of carpet you have. She'll look at your countertops, and it could be level 1, 2, 3. She knows all about that. She'll look at your custom paint, and she'll measure the pH in your pool. She'll even measure how long your shag carpet is, 1, 2, or 3 inches. I mean, she does all that. She's good at it too. She's my business partner.
Hold on. Robin has a question, and I like it because I think I know exactly where we need to go with this. Here in California, we have to fill out an agent disclosure. Texas is the same. Mm-hmm. I just know that you have to have it's like a disclosure that you've been in the home and you've inspected the home. We
don't have that here, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, in California we do, and I'm kind of like Knolly in the fact that I sold a lot of houses with never going to them. But here's, Robin, I want to answer your question. But my partner in Knolly's world, it was a partner who's good at seeing homes. In my case, it was an office manager who was licensed, would go to the home, do the property agent disclosure form. And that's how we would check that box in California to make sure that we're doing exactly what the legal requirement is. The licensed agent who works for my brokerage actually saw the house and filled out that disclosure.
Yeah, another big thing, Daniel, that I found that people agents have so many self-limiting beliefs, and they'll tell me things like, man, that can never be done. I remember I was in Hawaii teaching on the island of Kauai. Yeah. And I, at this time, I think I'd already sold 1,100 homes or whatever. And I'm doing this class, and this gal kept asking questions. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, but she was asking questions against, not curiosity questions. We love those, but she was asking them like kind of poo-pooing what I'm teaching. I'm like, man, maybe, because I don't know, maybe Hawaii's like just totally different, because I can find out, I teach in every state. So I've never found any of my systems that don't work in any state. Right. If the agent has a little creativity. And so I asked her, I said, how many homes have you sold? And people started laughing. I wasn't being facetious. I didn't know she was a brand new agent. She'd never sold a house. And so a lot of times what happens though, is that people have the limiting belief. The number one is that my clients will not do business with anyone else but me. That's the number one belief. Let's break that right now. Okay, let's break it. Here's how I'm going to break it for you. This is the way I broke it for me, because I used to think the same thing. There's nobody that can put the Knolly Williams touch on it. Don't you know that if Knolly Williams shows up at a listing, it's lights out, it's game over? Look, I was so competitive back when I was with RE/MAX. I had my van wrapped. Okay, yeah. I was one of the top 10 RE/MAX agents in the state of Texas. So when I knew that they were interviewing more than one agent, I would stay just a little bit past my time, and just so they see that Knolly Williams van, man, they just kept driving. Like, man, he's already got it, And you know what I would do, Daniel? This is true. Little entertainment here. Yeah. I would tell the seller, I say, look, you want to interview 3 agents, right? I get that. You've already got the other 2. Just bring us all here at the same time. Okay. I don't mind. I don't have no problem with it. Just tell them you got Knolly Williams coming, and then you're going to bring them in too. You know what they would do? Cancel. Okay. Because they didn't believe in themselves. I thought it was fun. If I got it, I got it. If I didn't, I didn't. It's a game. It's all, we're having fun with it, right? That's right. So you've always done it too. But here's how and so I always thought, the reason I tell you that, what does that have to do with anything? Because I was like, man, if Knolly Williams doesn't show up, I'm not going to it's not going to happen. Right. They only want to work with me. So then one day I said, how many homes sold in Austin? So I wrote down the number. It was like 12,000. Okay. The previous year. Mm-hmm. Okay. I times that by 2, because there's 2 sides on every deal.
24,000.
Yeah. That's 24,000.
Yep.
Now, how many homes did I sell that year? About 116.
Okay.
116 homes I sold that year. Does someone else know how to sell real estate in Austin?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, somebody. And all you have to do is look at the inventory in your area. How many homes sold last year? Times it by 2. There are other people out there that know how to sell houses. You're not the only one. I got news for you. You are not the only person that your client would deal with. Okay. And so what I tell them, I say, hey, my business partner who's licensed, because a lot of these things are licensed activities. So just think about it. I'm going to share the system, and then we'll get the Q&A to it. So all these things that are in blue, I mean, in yellow, like presenting the incoming offer, negotiating any pre-option items or inspection items or post-inspection items, attending the closing, schedule and meet the seller at the property, okay, to complete the evaluation form. All those kind of things are done by someone else, by what I call my business partner, my business partner, okay?
Yep.
I'm going to share with them how I do that.
I bet you everybody's your business partner in your business. That's
everybody.
right.
Yeah, everybody. So that's the way it goes. Now, if this is look at the buyer. Look at my buyer checklist. Okay?
Yep.
Set up the show properties. Look at what I do. I do the initial phone consultation and set up a search on the portal. I was talking to a guy yesterday. He's moving here from San Diego. His price range is $600,000, and I've already done those 2 steps. I'm pretty much done. Okay, so now he's going to come out on the 29th. Somebody's going to set up the showings. They're going to show the properties, and then once it comes time to negotiate the offer, it swings back to my court. Okay, and I negotiate the deal, or I say, hey, how much you want to offer on this house? Now, if it comes down to it, and he really wants me to look at one of the houses that he saw that he really, or maybe 2 of them, I'll go and look at those 2. But I'm not going to go look at 14. You know what I'm saying? I've got a showing assistant, business partner that does that. I say, hey, I've got a business partner. She's really good at looking at houses. This is what, and she's really good at. I'm not that good at it, but I'm real good at negotiating and getting you the best deal for that house. And if anything comes up, contingencies, things like that, I'm very good at, keeping the peace, conflict resolution, negotiation. I do all that. Oh man, he said, and see, here's the thing. The seller will do anything you ask if they know why they're doing it. When I get done with my speech to a seller or a buyer, okay, and I could even ask him, I don't do it anymore, but I used to even ask him, I say, now, Daniel, after everything I've told you and showed you, would you still want me to personally, oh, no, I don't want you to come to my house. They'll tell me like, no, please don't come to my house. Send so-and-so, because it so happens that my business partner is an expert at all that. And I'm clumsy at it. And I'll even ask him, I say, Daniel, have you ever worked at a company where you were really good at something, but other people were really good at other things? Oh yeah, I've worked at companies like that. I said, well, that's like me. I understand what my strengths are. And by the way, did you know that not every real estate agent is strong in every area? Oh yeah, I guess that's true. Well, why pretend that I'm strong in an area I'm not? I've got a business partner that's very good at that. And here's what we're going to do for you. And here's how we're going to get your home sold. Okay. Man, yeah, anyway.
Well, no, I think it's great. I've got a couple follow-up questions. A lot of people are asking, what do you pay your business partner or your buyer's agent or showing assistant or the recruiting agent? Any tips around that or any kind of Knolly Williams wisdom?
This is a big reason why I don't teach this, because now I'm giving my game up, but it's all good, right? Hey, Jesus said, freely you are given, freely give. That's what Jesus said. So I'm good with that. Okay. So here's how I do it, man. And you got to understand, you guys have to understand, I think differently. Daniel, you know this, I'm just a different way of thinking. I don't think better than other people. I just think differently. I'm out of the box. So what I did, Daniel, is I said, you know what? There are agents that are really good. And to be honest, to be quite frank with you, Daniel, there are agents that could sell the pan. I mean, to me, they're better than me. I mean, if a seller asks me, hey, what kind of schools are here? Man, I don't know. I know how to get your home sold. I don't care about the schools. We're going to sell it. Now, the buyers are they're very inquisitive on stuff like that. And that's why my buyer person knows about all that stuff. They're just better at it than I am. So here's what I said, if I were to, now I could hire a buyer agent on my team. I could hire a listing agent, which I've had both in the past, and paid them. In the past, I would pay them 30%. So I had a listing specialist, paid 30%, and I kept 70. I had a buyer agent, and we did some kind of split, 50-50, whatever it was. Now what I do is I have a completely different system. Okay.
Right.
So what I decided, Daniel, was that I was going to pay people by the hour. Okay. By the hour. Okay. My rate is $25 an hour. Okay. Yep. And there are so many agents, and I'm not, there's no diss to the agent, but there's a lot of agents that are in between deals. So you got 5 deals going right now? Well, then you can't work this one. And by the way, I have about 6 or 7 of these business partners. So I just happened to mention to my client or my prospect, the business partner that I know is available to do this next deal, Right. And I know that they're not, that person's not that busy. So even though she's got 2 deals going, she could handle some $25 an hour work and just work for, 2 hours one day, 3 hours another day, and a couple hours the next day, and I just pay them. So,
well, and I want to say something about the trends going on in our industry, right? I'm a real estate broker, Knolly, you are too. The reality is the new trend is hourly showing and listing people. Like that's the new trend. Redfin, Zillow, they're just paying per hour. So if you're listening and you're talking about splits, I think that's the old model. I think the new model definitely is virtual, number one. Number two, it's probably going to an hourly rate.
Yeah, and it's just a different way of thinking about it, and I get it. Agents are worth a lot, but what I'm saying is, if you're not busy right now, you've got an extra 5 to 10 hours a week that you're not doing anything with.
Right.
Instead of investing that time in Netflix, why not go ahead and invest it in a couple of deals that I'm going to help me with, and you're going to be gaining valuable experience. And by the way, they get all the buyer leads off the deal. So that's the potentiality, because I let them put their sign writer on all my deals.
Yeah.
And then, they can potentially get listing leads too, because I don't do the circle prospecting that I used to go knocking on, that's hard to do right now anyway, right? You go, hey.
You don't want to knock. Yeah. Okay. So I want to ask a couple questions around virtually selling. Oh my goodness. What are we looking at?
Let me show you this real quick. Just to answer your question. So what I did was I said, okay, it's about $25 an hour, but instead of saying, add up your hours and I'll pay you, I just came up with basically what I call the Knolly listing assistance form. Okay, This is a real one, so I kind of blocked out some of the sensitive information. But and these are the duties. So place the sign and lockbox. I pay $40 to put a sign and lockbox. That takes 1.5 hours. I know how much all these things, what kind of time they take. $25 if to do a seller home walkthrough. So that means you spend an hour with the seller walking through their house, showing them, hey, this needs to be painted, change out those doorknobs, whatever. Mm-hmm. Answer agent inquiries on the listing. So I put a second listing agent on every listing, and I pay that person for 3 hours of time per listing for them just to answer any questions that any agent has about my listing. And I say it's probably going to take about 3 hours, because by the time I sell it in 5 days, you might have spent 3 hours answering questions, texts, different things that come in. I don't want to deal with any of that. So I'm going to pay you a flat 75 and buy 3 hours of your time. Now, if it so happens that it goes over that, like it's just a crazy property, then we adjust for it, right? And so I have a whole checklist just like that. And so when I hire one of my partners, and usually when I'm talking to a seller, I'll say it's either going to be Charles, it's going to be this person or that, or Rebecca, whoever it's going to, I'll give them a range of people because I'm not sure who it'll be. I say I've got 3 business partners that do that. And then so what I'll do is I'll put it out there and say, hey, are you available to take this assignment? Now, if they're available to take the assignment, they're going to get paid all the things that I need them to do on that particular deal. Okay. And then I 1099 them. I pay them through. I have a company that I can pay them from my iPhone. It direct deposits the money. I pay every other Friday. Okay. And it direct deposits the money into their bank account. And then it tracks it for 1099. So at the end of the year, I automatically, I use Intuit payroll. So it's a whole system, and it really is. I mean, when you're talking about, I charge an admin fee on every deal, $5.95. Okay?
Yes.
So the admin fee completely covers the cost of the person that helps me with the deal. So it doesn't affect my commission whatsoever.
It never goes over $600 ever, or the $5.95.
No, not unless they want to do some crazy show staging. And then we'll do that. But it's typically $5.95. Oh, you mean this right here?
Yeah. Like one of the questions that we have is, what do all these cost add up to for a listing and for a buyer?
Well, okay, let's take it. So like on this particular deal, okay, I did negotiate any repair items, attend closing, $50. I paid her attend closing. So you're looking at 50, that's 175, 100, that's 215, that's about 235, $235. Okay.
And that's a real closing that you have that you're going to submit.
This is a real deal. This is one I got going right now.
Okay. All right.
Now let's look at the buyer side. Okay. Knolly buyer assistance. Okay. $30 per house. That's what I pay. $30 a house. Yep. Now if they're really going rural and it's crazy like that, I'll pay $50 a house for showing. Okay. And it's the final walkthrough, I pay $40. You do the final walkthrough with the buyer. It's just it takes like 20 minutes to walk through the house, make sure everything's cool before you go to closing. On a new construction buyer walkthrough, I pay $75. So if it's a brand new construction, you got to go and tag it and paint and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
3 hours, And
okay. So hold on. There's like a million questions coming through, guys.
It's not going to be more than $400 on any deal. Usually.
Who pays that fee?
I do.
No. The $595 admin fee or the seller pays it.
Yeah, but that's I teach people how to do that. This guy taught me how to do it back in 2003.
Yep.
And I've never had a deal where I didn't charge the $595. Now, if your game is not tight, you can't charge $595. But I've got I'm serious. Hey, well, how can I charge $595? Well, I can charge it because I come in, I say, hey, Daniel, have you ever gone to see a movie? Yeah, I've been to the movies. Okay, well, have you ever been to we have it here, we call it the Gold Theater. Have you ever been to Gold Theater? Oh, no, I haven't been there. I said, well, let me tell you about it since you haven't been there, because I've been. When you go to see a movie, okay, guess what? They're going to give you a blanket. Not only that, you're going to recline. They're going to have not just the regular reclining chairs, but it's cushy, nice and cushy.
Yeah.
Plus, by the way, you're going to be able to order any meal you want off the menu. You can have a pint of beer with it, whatever you want. And they're there to serve you. Now, let me ask you a question. Are you going to see the same movie that you could see maybe in the discount theater or some other theater? Yeah, it's the same movie. So you could see it over there for $12 or over here for $25. Okay. Why do people go to that movie theater? They're sold out, when they could go. And why they're paying for the experience.
Yeah.
For the experience. And here's what you're going to get with me, Daniel. You're going to get not one agent, but at least two, plus my contract to close person. So you're going to have 3 people tirelessly working to get your home sold. And it's not even going to cost you double. It's not going to cost you twice as much to have 3 times as many people. It's just an additional $595. And by the way, you don't even pay that, Daniel, until closing. So unless I'm successful with getting your home sold, you're not going to pay me anything. And they're like, oh, $595, done. It's done,
So do you write that transaction fee into the broker's listing agreement or the broker's buyer agreement?
Yeah, let me show you how I do it. So this is a listing that I took recently. Okay.
Yep.
This is our listing agreement. So here's how I do it.
I love it. He's just saying, look, this is how I do it, which is exactly the kind of guy that needs to be on our program every single time.
See that?
Yep.
$595 payable to the Knolly team at closing.
Yeah.
I get 0 pushback. People always ask me, well, what if you get pushback? I don't get any. I've never had pushback. I mean, the only thing I get is a question where they question what the fee is. But once I explain it to them, I say, have you ever worked with a team? Oh yeah, I worked with a team before. Well, just imagine, like right now, we're having a conversation, right? We're on Zoom together. Yeah, we're on Zoom together. Okay, so what would happen if somebody called me right now about your house or one of the other deals I've got going right now? They call and they want to talk to me. I can't pick up the phone. But guess what? That's why I've got a team. Yeah. So we make sure, even though I'm not available, we're gonna get your house sold, top dollar. Another thing I do is this is just a bonus, but this is another thing that I do. See that right there?
I don't, but that's all right. Tell me what's
so
there.
It says on the broker compensation, it says 6% of sales price, or 7% of sales price, or 8% of sales price. Okay. So when I'm talking to a seller, that's on every single listing agreement. And I say, but what we're going to do for you, we're going to go ahead and charge our lowest rate. Yeah, we're going to do it at 6%. Because with your house, we're not going to have to do like international marketing or any kind of special, marketing that I might have to do with some of those other homes that I take, So I'm going to give you my lowest rate. Now, a lot of people are like, well, did they negotiate you down in your commission? It never happens. I have certain things in place that there's 3 things that I do, and that it's another conversation, but that it never happens to where they negotiate my rate. The reason why most people get their rate negotiated is because they never gave options in the first place. So when people say, hey, is your commission negotiable? I say, sure, it's negotiable. We'll talk about that when we have our Zoom call. So the initial call is just to get the basic information so I can run the market analysis and talk intelligently with them. So I can have the follow-up Zoom the next day or even later that afternoon. So let me get the critical pieces of information. And then let's go ahead and sit down and talk about getting your home sold. And by the way, since you know I have a business partner, what I do, I'm going to go through everything with you. We're going to look at my marketing plan. I'm going to send you that. And then you look at that. We're going to do a Zoom call where we're going to both look at how we're going to get your home sold.
Yep.
Within the paradigm of, or within the auspices of what you want. And what we're going to do is make a decision if I'm the right person to hire to get your home sold.
So what I love about that is, and this is, we've got a question, but I want to highlight this. You're presupposing that the person is going to say yes or no by the end of the presentation. We're going to make a decision today together whether or not you're going to move forward. And you're assuming the close, and they, by moving forward with a Zoom call, they're committing to it.
Absolutely.
And so like, I just, one thing, that's a masterful move on the virtual world. Joey has a question. So have you never lost someone or had somebody cancel a listing? I'm guessing that every real estate broker that's worth their salt has lost.
Have I ever been fired? When I had the listing? Yeah, I've been fired before.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah. I've been fired a lot, you know,
but honestly, it's so interesting because the times I've been fired, I can remember, like literally there's so few.
Yep.
When your game is that good, and I'm not saying I'm the best in town, I'm just saying I'm really good. Mm-hmm. and I know I'm good. And so when somebody, and I have had people not list with me. Okay. Mm-hmm. And the only feeling I get, Daniel, and I used to be funny. Why do I feel this way? I feel sorry for them of who they're going to get.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, they could have had the best. That's just the way I see it. I mean, and every agent should feel that way about themselves. But when you come into the conversation, whether it be a Zoom call or whatever it is, you have to have confidence. Your lack of confidence, there's a thing that we put off called energy. And it doesn't matter what you say. Okay. And that's why I teach objection handling so much, because if you don't know how to handle objections, what happens is there's a split second. Like when let me give you an example. A guy came to me and I said, how much do you want? And this is years ago when I used to hire agents. He said, I said, how much do you want to make a month? He said, man, I want to make $10,000 a month.
Yeah. I
said, $10,000. And I did like that. And that's a technique. I mean, we know about, I know every technique in the book. I said, $10,000. And you shake your head no like that. 10,000, man, that's a lot of money. I did like that. And I said, wouldn't 5,000 be okay with you? That's exactly see how my head is shaking? Yes. Wouldn't 5,000 be all right? And now you know what he did? He looked back, he said, just for a split second, he did like this. Game over. You're done.
Yeah.
2 seconds. He came back. He said, Knolly, I couldn't do it on 5,000, but 6,000 be okay. He gave himself a 40% pay cut in 2 seconds. In a one sentence conversation, I didn't cut his pay. I just told him I thought it was high and shook my head. He cut himself 40%, man. And by the way, he was on commission, so I didn't care how much he made. All I was doing was getting his subconscious mind to tell me what he really believed. Yeah. And see, a lot of people come in. See, I know when I come in and I'm on a Zoom call with you, I know we're signing the paperwork. And that's why I say things like, hey, when we sign the paperwork after we're done with this, the next thing, just like you told them earlier, hey, guys, at the end, we're going to give away a free book. Well, It's not like we're going to just hang up and not give away a book. We just promised it to you.
Yeah, that's right.
When you list with me, what we're going to do is this.
Mm-hmm.
What you're going to get today, when you guys sign with me, see what you're going to get. That's a subconscious language. You're going to get. Daniel, what you're going to get today when you hire me, what you're going to get. Yeah, you're going to get this, aren't you? Yeah, you're going to get it. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I mean, sales and marketing, I go way back on that.
Well, what I want us to do, we're about to wrap up, guys. Now is the time to ask your last couple of questions because, and we're going to follow up on Facebook Live. If you're listening right now, the recording is on the MyOutDesk Facebook business page. So, and Knolly will share it. I'll share it. So if you guys are connected to us on social media, it will be out there. Really, it's important, Knolly, when you give up 90% of the listing tasks and the buyer tasks, what are you going to do with your free time?
Well, for what I do, so I like to travel. I mean, and you guys, I mean, it was kind of a standing joke. Where are you now? Where are you today?
Yeah.
And honestly, people still ask me that. I'm like, dude, don't you know COVID-19 is on?
Yeah.
I'm home. You trying to rub it in?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
typically, I mean, that's just me. But anybody else, I mean, you could spend it with family. You could go. You could start other businesses, which I've done. I have multiple businesses, or you can give back. I love doing that. I teach, train, coach. You know, if you go to Knolly.com right now, you can sign up for my Knolly Success Coaching for free. It's absolutely free,
Right.
because I have a lot of time to do stuff like this. It's what I love to do. You know. But yeah, so your free time, that's a good problem to have.
Well, I wanted to make a point, and if you're listening, I think it's really important. We've got a couple of questions and comments, but this is really important. When you come into a consultation, we ask the question: what are you doing with your time? What systems and processes do you currently have, and what are your goals? So the consultation basically says, hey, should you be doing that thing? That task, is it the highest and best use of your time? And that's what you and I just went through today, is like there's only a certain amount of things within a business that you as the owner or the leader or the manager or the broker or whatever need to actually do. And everything else can be given away or delegated down. People screw that up all day, left and right.
Look here, everything in blue, that's a MyOutDesk VA doing that. Everything in blue. Look at that. Everything in blue. Okay.
Yep.
And that's not $25 an hour.
No, it's a lot less.
It's not. Yeah. So it's with MyOutDesk, it's game on. You know,
right.
It's game on. One other thing people ask me all the time is probably going to be the questions, man, where do you get your seller leads? That's why I wrote this book right here called Triple My Listings. If you don't have it, we ship it out to you. You pay the shipping. The book is free. Okay. You just handle the shipping costs. It's 27 marketing ideas for free seller leads, because quite frankly, I got tired of answering the questions that people ask me on where I get all my seller leads. And this kind of breaks down the game. I don't hold anything back, although I've never taught the virtual thing because most people weren't that interested in learning it, to be honest.
I know. And you know what's wild is, so we're 13 years old. We've been virtual forever, working from our remote. You know, we have 6,000 virtual assistants in 13 years, helped 6,000 businesses grow and scale by teaching you how to delegate and leverage off all those tasks that you shouldn't be doing. That's what we do. And we wrote a book. Now's the time, right? It's called Scaling Your Business with Mod Virtual Professionals. If you text MOD to 31996, not only will you get our Go Remote guide, but you'll get a consultation with us. In that consultation, we'll talk about what your challenges are, what you might need. We'll give you a Knolly, whatever Knolly can share, whatever he promised to share on this thing, we'll give you that, as well as a customized, how are you going to double your business right now? What do you need to stop doing? What do you need to start focusing on? And how do you need to scale your business to really grow? If you're in the real estate space like Knolly and I, this is a no-brainer for you, but it applies to everybody. That guy that I was talking about at the beginning, he owns 12 different franchise locations. Him and his brother, who are worth multi-million dollars, they were still doing their own books. They were still doing their own answering of customer service. They were tied to Slack. Literally, the CEO of the company, worth lots of money, was still answering questions from his store managers on Slack. And I was like, dude, why are you wasting your time doing that stuff? So everybody has a challenge. We help people solve those challenges. Just text MOD to 31996, completely free consultation. We'll give you everything Knolly promised here, plus a copy of our book, plus help you go remote, which you need help with right now in this world, right? Everybody needs to figure out how to sell remotely today. That's just the reality of it. Knolly, how would somebody get a hold of you if they wanted to go deeper? Tell them a little bit about Mentorship Masters. I know that's a big new thing that you've launched. You're about 2 years into that, but let's talk about that and where people can find and follow you.
Well, I realize that 86%, according to National Association of Realtors, of agents don't make it in the business past 5 years.
Yep.
86% or 87%, something like that. Like 13% make it.
Right.
And so I created this thing called Mentorship Masters, which is kind of I wanted to see if I personally mentored people, could they succeed? And so that's at Knolly.com, KNOLLY.com.
Yep.
But the success stories are absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I have a gal that she came to me, she had done 8 deals her first year, but most of them were like leases and things like that. Her husband told her, if you don't make this work, you're 1 year in the business, I'm giving you 1 more year and you're going to go back to your corporate job. Yeah. Well, I told her at the beginning, I said, Mina, he's going to be working for you one day. Well, her first year with me, she did 90,000 in GCI. This year, she's on track for probably close to 200,000. Nice. She's going to easily hit 150, but she was on her way out of the business. Another guy named Nick who he's closed 5 deals during the height of COVID in Seattle. And he collected 85,000 in GCI. When he came to me, he had not a one deal just 90 days ago. He didn't have a single deal, even on the horizon. And so it's just, and just like we're talking today, I have a call with them every single week, and I get them with an accountability partner within the group and make sure that they're succeeding. Yep. So that's a group that I actually run through EXP. But people that are like, man, I'm not ready to join another brokerage or whatever, then I do Knolly Success Coaching, which is different. That's just business and life coaching. It's just straight for anybody that has a business. Because I own 3 businesses right now. Real estate is one of them, and I run all of them remotely and all of them with MyOutDesk VAs.
Okay.
I love it.
Talk about the value that you see, because we're wrapping up, but I want to know, like, in your world, how do virtual assistants fit into business? Like, what's the highest and best use? How would you use them? And what should people be doing with them? Okay,
so my VAs have higher education than I do.
Yeah.
Like I remember when you sent me the thing, it's like master's degree in computer science, and this one has a degree. I'm like, man, I dropped out of college.
Yeah.
So literally, let me just tell you, my VAs run my businesses.
Yep.
I don't know any other way to say it. I remember when I first had a conversation, I don't know if you remember this, but I was doing a lot of stages, and I was one year I hit like 70 cities. I was doing crazy stuff, but I was just out there, traveling and stuff. And I asked you, I said, man, I need somebody to process these orders. And you remember that conversation? I was like, I was like, man, I don't know if I can trust somebody over there with the credit card, sensitive information. Yep. And you were like, you asked me, Knolly, how do you think your monthly fee at MyOutDesk is processed? And
I love it.
Here's the thing. These are the most trustworthy people that I've ever met. Noemi's been working with me for 6 years. I think Chris has been with me for 7 years. Okay? Yep. And then we hired another guy that's been with us for over a year. Hired him. He does all our video production. And I mean, just the kind of things that these people can do, the talking to people. I mean, nobody even knows that they're in the Philippines, because, and this is something that we, it's one of those things that we don't talk much about, but a lot of people have a question about it is, what's their accent going to be like and these kind of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was my big thing. And literally I did so many deals. It was a gal that did all my booking back in the day. I had a full-time booking person with MyOutDesk. I just teach them what I want them to do, and I have them do it. And everybody thought she was my wife. So when we would go on the, appointments or go to speak, they'd say, hey, and they thought that they were talking to her the whole time. And it's like, the gal has zero accent. Like she could have been from Kentucky. I mean, who knows? Yep. So anyway, it's a game changer. I don't know if I answered the question, but my people what I do is I systematize my business, and then I teach that to my VAs.
Yes. Yes.
I teach that to my VAs.
That's the missing beauty. When we have clients that have a process and a system, and you can just plug our virtual assistants into something that already is proven, tested, and works, what you want to do is you want to optimize your system, then you want to automate it as much as possible, then you want to delegate it out. Leverage it to somebody else. That way you're focused on the stuff that is driving revenue. Guys, with this, we got to rock and roll. Sandra, jump on, she's having trouble with the text thing. Go to our website, myoutdesk.com. You can get a consultation. Just tell them all the stuff that you want when you request that consultation. But if you haven't already, text MOD to 31996 and you'll get this, the Go Remote, everything that Knolly talked about today, plus our book, Scaling Your Business. Knolly, I just want to thank you. Oh, I knew I was bringing you out of your I'm like, have you ever done this before? And he's like, no, but let's see what it turns into. And so I appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys, for showing up. Again, MyOutDesk.com. Thank you so much for joining us. Houses don't have to be seen to be sold.
That's right, baby. Thanks for joining us, guys. Thank you so much for your time.
Bye-bye.